Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 8 and today we will present about conversation and preference structure. Before we start the presentation, let me introduce ourselves. My name is Misbah Muhammad Tanzaki and my other friend is Ahmad Ainurikza and Salwa Aktabaroni Luai. Before we start the first material about conversation analysis, I have some example. The example is in this class there is a scarce commodity called this floor, which can be defined as the right to speak. Having control of this scarce commodity at any time is called a turn. In any situation where control is not fixed in advance, anyone can attempt to get control. This is called turn-taking. Because it's a form of social action, turn-taking operates in accordance with a local management system that is conventionally known by members of a social group. The local management system is essentially a set of conventions for getting turns, keeping them, or giving them away. Any possible change of turn point is called a transition relevance or TRP. Conversation analysis. So what is conversation analysis? Anyone know what is conversation analysis? Conversation analysis is an analysis of natural conversation to reveal what the linguistic feature of conversation is and how conversation is used in ordinary life. Jadi, analisis percakapan adalah analisis percakapan alami untuk mengungkapkan apa fitur linguistik dari percakapan dan bagaimana percakapan digunakan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Central aspect of conversational analysis. First, the technique that the speaker uses during a conversation, such as the rules of turn-taking. 2. The ways in which some speaker utterances are related to, for instance, conversational maxim, adjacency pair, and inserted sequence. And the last, third, the different functions that our conversation is used for example, establishing roles or commuting politeness. Turn-taking. So what is turn-taking? Do you know what is turn-taking? It seems like in the first slide. Turn-taking refers to the changing of roles of the speaker and the listener when they are in conversation. So, jadi turn-taking mengacu pada perubahan peran pembicara dan pendengar ketika mereka sedang berbicara. Intersecting the TRP and TCU. TRP, or Transition Relevance Place, refers to the point in the ongoing conversation where a talk from one participant to another occur. TRP atau tempat relevansi transisi mengacu pada titik dalam percakapan yang sudah berlangsung di mana giliran saat bicara dan peserta ke yang lain terjadi. TCU, or Turn Construction Unit, is the basic segment of speech in a conversation. TCU ada segmen dasar bicara dalam percakapan.
Okay, now we continue at pause, overlaps, and back channels. And I will explain you what is pause, overlaps, and back channels. First is pause. What is pause? A thing that happens at conversation, which is the speaker stop his speaking for a while to think what he will say. This one is usually when you have a conversation with an unfamiliar person. For example, like, you and your teacher, or maybe someone that feel unfamiliar for you. And then pause also happens as no response when the first speaker asks or tells the second speaker, and the second speaker doesn't respond. Usually it takes time 2 until 3 seconds. Yes, this one is, for example, like you have a conversation with your friends or with your brother and sisters, and then they don't respond for you. This one is paused as no response. This one is the example of pause as silent for a while. This conversation is between Mrs. Ali at the elementary school of Jarvis, and Jarvis is already graduated from his elementary school. Then Mrs. Ali starts to speak, and this one is part of pause as silent for a while. Yes, this part. And then Mrs. Ali starts to speak. Let me practice it for you. Well, where do you study now, Jarvis? Then Jarvis answered, I study at Sidoarjo, ma'am, because my father works at there. That's one is the example for silent, for pause as a silent for a while. Now the example pause as no response. This conversation is between Sarah and his boyfriend. And then as you see, there is 3 seconds and 2 seconds. Let me practice it for you. Oh God, I forgot with the golden paint. Can you take the golden paints on the table, honey? As you see, there is no response from her boyfriend. 3 seconds, and Sarah called her boyfriend again. Darling. And then she waits for 2 seconds. There is still no response. Then Sarah got angry. My God, Peter, what are you doing? Then Peter responds, as you see, listening music with headset, of course. And this one is pause as no response. Yeah, this one. Okay, now overlaps. What is overlaps? Overlaps happens when both speakers are speak in the same time. Usually it happens in first conversation with unfamiliar person when they are difficult to initiate talk. And this one is usually happens when the both speaker are confused. What will they say? Usually it happens when you and your unfamiliar person, like teacher, lecture on, even a rector person. And then overlaps also usually happens when two persons as best friend express same opinions. Okay, it means that for example, you and B person, you have same opinion and you mention your opinion together with your best friends. And now the example of overlaps as unfamiliar person. This conversation is between Mr. Smith as Ray's father, as Ray uncle. As you see that they speak together when Mr. Smith saw, where are you? And then Ray also speak, how's your as together? Yeah. This one. they speak together at this part that I signed with double slash. Okay, and then they speak together. Mr. Smith speak, "So where are you?" And Ray speak, "How's your?" together in same time. Okay, now example of overlaps as a best friend. In this conversation, there is three persons. It is consists of Nick, Jesse, and Jenny. As you see, this one is the overlaps. Okay, and now the story is Jenny and Jesse is the best friend. They are best friend. Let me practice it for you. From Nick, amazing. MotoGP's race last night made me proud with my favorite rider. Then Jesse answered, why are you so happy? Your rider wasn't the winner. Then Jesse also said, yeah, actually, our rider was the winner. And then Nick asked again, I'm sorry, and then Nick asked them, what? Really? That's not possible. Who is he? And then Jenny and Jesse speak together. Mario Deluxe. Yes, Mario Deluxe is Jenny and Jesse's favorite rider. So they mention their favorite rider in the same time together. Now back channels. Okay, what is back channels? Back channels is an expression that used to get regular exchange and turn process and allow one speaker to have an extended turn. However, speaker still expect their conversational partner still listening. To doing this, usually the partner will use head nods, smile, or other facial expressions and gesture. It means that when you have conversation with your friends or with your teacher, lecturer, or your parents, and they say something, and then you give them a response as, for example, a smile, and usually you use your response as head nods or facial expression. Let me show you the examples. This one is the examples of back channel. This conversation consists of Marco and Polo. Okay, let me practice it for you. If you use your long distance server a lot, then you'll be interested in discount I'm talking about, because it can only save your money to switch to a cheaper service. As we know, when Marco explained about something, then Polo just responds him with words like, yeah, This one is the response. This one is the Polo's response. Yeah, actually, Marco is explained a little bit long, and then Polo just responds like, yeah, and then, yeah, it's like that. Now we're stepping in conversational style. The first style is high involvement style. Many features that characterize the conversation as judging someone. For example, like speaker 1 has a conversation with speaker 2 with active, relatively fast, and almost no pausing. This conversational style, called high involvement style, usually when someone uses this conversational style, it allows misunderstanding. And usually when we have a conversation with someone, we can judge someone by their conversational style. We usually doing that. It means that in this style, someone often to judge person by using his conversational style. For example, like when you meet someone with conversational style very fast and almost there is no pausing, you will judge him like he is talkative, or maybe he talk too much, just like that. And then high considerateness style. Instead, when someone uses a slow conversational style, the other participants will more understand what the speaker says. Yeah, in this conversational style, usually the speaker will speak slowly, more slower, because this style there is no interruptions and overlaps. This conversational style called as high considerateness style. Usually people will think that the speaker doesn't have much to say, shy, even boring. Yeah, we often to judge people uh, by using this conversational style as they are a silent person, or maybe this one is good person, or maybe we often to judge people like this one is boring person. Okay, that's all from this part, and then next part will be explained by my friend.
Good morning, class. In here, I am Salato Prani as the next presenter after Rixa. I will explain about adjacency pairs, or I will call it as an AP to pronounce it easily later. Okay, let's next to the slide. AP is a two-part exchange conversation in which the second utterance functionally dependent on the first utterance. An adjacency pair, or F or AP, is composed of two-turn conversation produced by different speakers which are placed adjacently. Clear example of adjacency pair is shown below. Conventional greetings and invitation and request. Please read it first and I will explain it later. Okay, have you read it? So let's head to the first part of the conventional greetings. It is pretty clear, right? Let me read it to the first and second point. So in the first point, the second utterance is functionally dependent on the first utterance. What is it? What's the meaning of it? So the second utterance must be. Must be related to the first utterance. Must. For example, this hello, and then Walter say hi. What's up? Good. How it's going? Just hang in there. What if Douglas say what's up, and Walter say two noodle please? Then it is not an AP because the second sequence is not related to the first sequence. Okay, and also AP is composed of two-turn conversation. It the first turn is Doug and the second turn is Walter. So, is it clear? In the conventional greetings, let's head to the invitation and the request. It is much similar like the example above, except it is the invitation. Like the first part, Milos say, "Can you attend to my party tonight?" Chad say, "Gladly." Milos invite Chad coming to the party, and Chad say gladly, which is related to the invitation of Milos. "Don't forget to bring a cake," say Milos. "I'm on it." "Oh, and please invite your girlfriend too." "I don't have any girlfriend." "I'll be your girlfriend." No, in here Milos want to joke, but declined hardly by Chad. Poor Milos. Okay, so can you understand about the second example in here, invitation and request? If you understand, we will head to the next slide, please. So in here we have a question answer sequence of adjacency pairs. The first example is simple. What time is it? Is a question. Of course, question. And the answer is 8:20 a.m. by B. I see, thanks. Problem. So let's head to the explanation above. To be remembered, not all of the first part immediately receive the second part. So like the first part immediately receive the second part. No, not at all. Not all AP is like that. Another case happen in question answer sequence can also be delayed while another question answer sequence intervenes. This sequence will then take the form of question 1, question 2, answer 1, answer 2, and answer 1, with the middle pair question 2 and answer 2 being called as the insertion sequence. So the example is this. How much does the apple cost? Is the question 1. Jill, which one will you pick, my lady? Is the question 2. In here we have an insertion sequence. How much does the apple cost? If it's a normal adjacency pair, it will be answer as this. It will be $2, please. But we have a specific situation in here. Jill, as the seller of the fruit, is the fruit seller that have many kind of various apple, of course will be confused. So she will ask, which one will you pick, my lady? And then Anna will be specifically point it, the Fuji apple one. And yes, in the question 2, answer the answer 2, and the answer 1 will be the last, because Jill finally found the question 2 and answer 2, which it will be pointed the answer 1. She can answer it. It will be $2, please. Means the Fuji apple cost $2. The delay response as shown in the example above is symbolically marks potential unavailability of the immediate expected answer. Confused? Yes, same. It also represents the distance between what it expects and what is provided. So, have you understand at this? Okay, if you understand, let me go to the next slide. If you are not understanding now for this, I will explain it in the WhatsApp. 3 characteristics of adjacency pairs. First, consists of 2 utterances. It must. You need 2 utterances For an adjacency pair, no more or no less, the utterances are adjacent. The first utterance will be followed by second utterance. It is also a must. Each utterance produced by the different speakers. From here is understand, right? It is easy to understand this. Okay, so let's head to the next slide. A quick name. Okay, so that's all from me. Salvatore Berinduai. Good morning, and please to the next presenter. Bye.
And the last is preference structure. So what is preference structure? A first part that contains a request or an offer is typically made in the expectation that the second part will be an acceptance. An acceptance is structurally more likely than a refusal. The structural likelihood is called preference. Jadi preference structure bagian pertama yang berisi permintaan atau penawaran biasanya dibuat dengan harapan bahwa bagian kedua akan memiliki penerimaan. Penerimaan secara struktural lebih mungkin daripada penolakan. Kemungkinan struktural ini disebut preferensi. Preference structure divides second part into prefer and disprefer social acts. The prefer is the structurally expected next act, and the disprefer is a structurally unexpected next act. Struktur preferensi dibagi menjadi dua bagian, yaitu adalah tindakan sosial yang disuka dan tindakan sosial yang tidak disuka. Yang tindakan sosial yang disuka adalah tindakan selanjutnya yang diharapkan secara struktural, dan tindakan yang tidak disuka adalah tindakan selanjutnya yang tidak terduga secara struktural. Seperti yang terlihat di dalam tabel di bawah ini, the first part is like assessment, prefer is agree, and dispreferred is disagree. Invitation and prefer is accept, and second part is disagree. Offer is and prefer is accept, and disapprove in decline. Proposal agree and disagree. Request accept and refuse, and disapprove is refuse. Jadi seperti contoh di tabel ini ada beberapa kata di sana dikelompokkan, ya, ada dua, yaitu prefer and disprefer. Jadi ada kata yang menunjukkan itu adalah kata yang disuka, dan tabel kedua adalah disprefer is adalah kata yang menunjukkan penolakan atau tidak kesukaan. Seperti contoh adalah assessment. Ya, di preferred ini di kata yang disuka ini menjadi agree, sedangkan di kata di tabel dispreferred menjadi kata disagree. Ini adalah invitation atau undangan, di mana di tabel pertama di preferred itu menjadi accept atau diterima, dan di tabel kedua dispreferred menjadi refuse atau ditolak. Selanjutnya adalah offer atau penawaran. Di tabel pertama ini menjadi accept, and di tabel kedua menjadi decline. Seperti itulah proposal agree. Di tabel pertama agree, dan di tabel kedua disagree, dan selanjutnya request, permintaan yang di tabel pertama accept, dan tabel kedua adalah refuse. Jadi semacam kata untuk menyetujui dan penolakan. So that's all from us. Thank you for your attention. If you have question, please write in WhatsApp group. Sekian, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.